Hello everyone, my name's Cole and welcome back to another Minecraft video. A lot's changed in the world since I last posted a video. I do hope that you and your families are staying safe, but if you do live under a rock, or if you're watching from the future, which, as a side note, kudos for surviving 2020, let's hope that that's the norm and not the exception, we're currently in the midst of a pandemic. Because of this, I've been able to go back to building in Minecraft, and I just wanted to take a few minutes now and show you some of the things that I've been working on. Without further ado, as long as it's not disinfectant, grab a glass of your favorite drink, and let's get started. So one of the things that I've been working on is creating different classes of existing ships that I have. So like different ships or upgraded ships from within the same navy or the same federation or alliance of ships. So I've created two medical support ships here. These are pandemic response ships. This here is the original one. This one was built back in 2015. I'm not going to show you the whole ship, but I'll just quickly go back inside. This ship is designed to be like attached to like a ground force, or to be attached as part of a fleet of ships. So we've got crew quarters here for the medical staff, for the navigation crew members. We've got teleporters. The main configuration of the ship is primarily as like a ward, just an open hospital ward, and really designed to treat things like like people needing stitches, concussions, or amputations and stuff like that. So nothing like, obviously amputation is significant, but nothing serious like an out of control disease. There is an operation chamber in here, very basic, some imaging here in the back, and then the operating bed right here. But anyway, I wanted to create like an upgraded version of this ship. So that's what I've done with these other vessels over here. And so what I did for this ship here is, because I wanted to keep if I can sound pretentious, the design language between these two ships, because they are within the same navy, I wanted them to have like similar features and such. So what I did is I started with this ship as the base, and then I wanted these little parts that jut out the front. I flipped them over to work here on the back, and then just extended the ship using World Edit by another 15 or so blocks. It took a lot of work to do. Like when I first built this ship, the outside hull took only like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at most to do. Because when you're working from scratch, like there aren't really any limitations. I don't have to adhere to a certain like design guideline. But with this one here, after I did those copies and edits, I had to go through and I had to like kind of like extend these sides out here and shave them out. And then at the back, I had to make this part here, which used to be the front, I had to now make it look like the back. It takes a lot of work. The outside was like, it took the longest part. It took about 5 or 6 hours to do. And then the inside of the ship took me about 4 hours to do. So not so bad on the inside, but I would much rather build a ship from scratch than take an existing ship and make another ship that looks similar but upgraded. But it is a project that I'm working on to see if I can improve on. So anyway, we're going to take a look at this ship over here. So these two ships here, they are the same. The only difference is this one here has a little bit of a scene set outside. But the way that it would work is patients would come onto the ship here, and they would be filtered through this kind of little area. So this area here would encourage social distancing. And also help to serve and protect crew members. So when somebody comes up in here, they would come up into this area here. Only one person would be allowed in this spot here. And as they would walk through here, they would get like a full body scan. And this would provide some preliminary information to help the medical staff who are stationed right here. Once they have that information, the patient would be then filtered off into one of 3 triage areas. So if this ship were being deployed like in a war zone and just treating like combatants, they would be the less critical soldiers would be filtered into here. So these are the people. Let's see if I can get through these doors. So these would be the people who have like broken bones, stitches, cuts, scratches, concussions, all that stuff. They'd be filtered in here and dealt with on an as-needed basis. So there's really no luxuries in here. This is kind of just like a sit down and wait your turn. You're going to be here for a few hours. Other more serious patients would be filtered onto this bench here, as well as into this area right here, where they have direct connection with some of the nursing and medical staff. So from here, their information can be pulled up, additional scans can be created, and then from there, pardon me, sorry, from there, they'd be able to be filtered into the other parts of the ship up over in here. We also have different severity levels, like, or not severities, but like critical and non-critical isolation areas up within this part of the ship. But this is the other triage area. Now, if somebody goes through the body scanner and they find out that they're highly infectious, we do have an isolation chamber here, 2 isolation chambers here in the triage area. So if they haven't quite been able to see a doctor or whatever, they'll go and wait in these chambers here before they can be properly moved on and assessed. So up over here in the same thing, we also do have isolation chambers here. There's a total of 8 of them here on each side, or sorry, 4 here on each side, as well as a little console for medical staff to check up on what's going on with the patients, as well as some other stuff what's going on with the patients as well. As you'll notice, there really is no privacy within here. This is a pandemic response ship. It's going to be deployed to a planet. It's going to be planet side. It's going to land directly on the planet. Excuse me. It's going to land directly on the planet, and it's there because everybody has the same sickness. There is no privacy. So those who are highly fragile or highly contagious will go inside these isolation chambers. Those who are less contagious will go into these kind of little ward rooms right here. So we've got 6 here and another 3 right here, as well as some overhead information that provides patient information, as well as like their health status and all that stuff like that. So all of that's right in here. Up a little bit further over here, we have another little imaging chamber here. So you may recognize this from the carrier ship that I built. Also, I believe in 2015. This guy here's like an MRI. CT scan. I'm not a medical person, so I don't know all the machines, but I do watch a lot of medical shows on TV because I'm in my 30s and that's what we do. Anyway, so this here, it's a full body scanner. It does more advanced imaging, obviously, than the one that people walked through. This would be used if a person or if a patient was incapacitated or, again, needed more deep imaging that was provided just by the body scanners that they came in through. I guess we'll come up over here and do this section here first. So we have the bridge up over here. Again, this is just an exact copy of the original ship up over there, so there's nothing new over here. Couple navigation, no weapons, because this is a pandemic response ship, and then the captain would sit here. Up over here, we have some storage, which, again, I like to build in for all of my ships, because I do like to play with these in survival, occasionally with my kids. Now, right in along here, we have some additional beds here. So these beds are kind of just temporary placeholder beds before patients move into surgery. We have 4 surgical wards here. Most of them are equipped just like with standard loadout, just like a bed and an overhead console. But some of them have some more advanced equipment like this guy right here. I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. It's I don't know, some sort of futuristic laser imaging cauterizer. I don't know. It does something. I just thought it looked pretty neat. I've been experimenting with trying to get some more like futuristic, modern looking things. It's hard to do in this version of Minecraft, although with the new Nether updates that are coming out, I've got a lot of really good ideas, or at least I think they're good ideas. A lot of ideas as far as how to make different style of ships using those new blocks. So anyway, we've got 4 surgical wards here. Essentially, if a patient needed surgery, they would temporarily go here before they're moved into the surgical ward, and then before they're moved into the isolation chambers for recovery. This right here is the on-call room, so we've got a couple beds for the doctors and nurses and other medical staff to sleep in while they're dealing with the pandemic, as well as a little seating area so they can kind of relax a little bit. Over here is the teleporter, just up over there. We have a little reactor room right here. It didn't have a whole lot of room to work with in here. This is a similar design to the original medical ship that I made, again, back in 2015. But this room I think needs a bit more work. I'm not entirely happy with it. But this is really just providing essential services to the ship, and it does a little bit of propulsion. Okay, so over here we have the main teleporter. So for this ship here, you can get teleported on, it does have a built-in teleporter, so you can get teleported on from off the ship. So if you're outside, you can hit this button here, that'll teleport you on the ship. But the ship also has a second floor, and so this is the main research part of the ship. So when you have the pandemic going on, there need to be researchers looking for the cure. If blood work or whatever is drawn, it can be taken from downstairs and brought up here into the second floor to be processed by this machine here. All of that information can be tracked. So up here, we can have different people, there are different crew members working to not only track the progress of the patients on board, but they can also figure out, where geographically on the planet is this going, tracking information, providing information to other containment crews and such throughout the planet. So that can all be done here because with a ship like this, when you have a pandemic going on, you want all the information to be on site, quick and accessible. You don't have to send like blood work and such off to another ship where because if there was a certain pandemic going on, time could be of the essence. So we've got this little research area up here. So let's go quickly. Let's go and check out the other ship here. So we'll get ourselves outside. All right. So as I mentioned before, this ship here, this is not the second pandemic response ship. All I did was set up a different scene here. So if this ship were to land on the planet, this would be a similar type of scene, which we'll check out here. So essentially, patients would come up in here. They would get a little bit of like preliminary triaging right here, a couple beds for the more urgent cases, some tents and such around for people to be in, and then there would be a security desk right here, and people would be filtered up in through this area and enter on the ship. Critical patients could be teleported with this teleporter, but the other ones would walk up the ship and then go through the process earlier. But no, the second pandemic ship is this one that I made over here. And as you can see, this is a completely different response to a pandemic. So this here is a planetary defense ship or a pandemic containment ship. This ship is not designed for treating. It is designed for containment and elimination. This ship has 16 dual-action laser cannons and is designed so that if there were a pandemic discovered, it is to be deployed to be orbit around the planet, and it would essentially act as a blockade of the planet. It would destroy anything that tries to leave the atmosphere, and if so are ordered, it could carpet bomb the entire planet and destroy it. So, as I mentioned, I've been making ships or different classes of ships within the same Navy. And this ship right here, this is one that I covered about a year or so ago on my channel. And this is a warfaring ship. So this is one race of aliens or one federation that is really just designed around war, similar to the Klingons, just with more purple. So this ship here, this is totally in line with how they would respond to a pandemic. They're not interested in helping people. They're just interested in just getting rid of whatever the problem is. So we'll go inside and have a look. Its primary purpose would be for planetary defense. The only way you can get on the ship is through the teleportation pad. This ship would not enter the atmosphere, would not land on the planet. It would just be in orbit, and therefore it would be built in orbit, and the only way to get on is through this teleporter. So, if most cases this is just deployed for planetary defense, so there are some crew quarters that won't be used for that purpose, but we'll start up over in here. So this is the reactor access. So this ship has two primary reactors, and these serve to act as propulsion for the ship to get the ship to go wherever it needs to go as quick as possible. These reactors also feed into the main cannons that all run all the way down the corridor of the ship. So we'll go up in here and have a look at that. So those would act as the primary firing mechanism for the cannon. As I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention, there are three different types of weapons that this ship can fire, depending on what it's targeting. So if it's targeting biological mass, it has one group of reactors that power it. If it's targeting other ships, it has another group of reactors, and if it needs to destroy the planet, it has a third reactor. So all along here, we can see that main corridor that channels energy out to the laser cannons. Each laser cannon has its own console right here that it can be controlled, as well as access to the firing mechanism as well if maintenance needs to be done. So that can handle all the way, that corridor goes all the way up with consoles for every cannon. So now let's go down here and we can check out the second type of reactor that's on the ship. We're not going to worry about putting on our radiation equipment because we're not in battle right now. But all along the ship, or all along this part of the ship, we've got a secondary reactor, and each reactor here will power 2 laser cannons, so one on each side. So this provides a different type of weapon. Different type of weapon, again, if it were attacking a ship or biological matter or whatever. Each one of these, again, has an additional heads-up display that tells you what's going on within the reaction chamber and provides some additional control to the stuff that's going on here. And then down at this far end, we have the final reactor chamber, and this reactor would be enabled if the order was given for the planet to be destroyed. I originally wanted to put a giant laser cannon going out the front of the ship, but I threw it on, and I didn't like the way that it looked, and decided to go with this one as well. So again, the reaction chamber happens up in here, and then the energy is filtered up along the main corridor and out the laser cannons as well. So for the most part, this ship would be manned by 4 crew members, unless the ship was being deployed. So if it was planet side, 4 crew members, but if it's being deployed to contain a pandemic, it would be crewed by 8 crew members. So here are the crew quarters, very small, no luxuries. We've got a toilet in there, and then 4 bunks here and a little seating area. Nothing to do for entertainment. There's just a little eating table over here. This, again, they're a warfaring race, and they're just here to destroy. We'll come up here to the top now, and we'll check out the bridge. Got a little bit of a storage area right there. Access the bridge up here. And up here, there's just, there's not really a whole lot going on. So here, this control console here controls the laser cannons on this side of the ship. These levers can be used to determine which target is being attacked, again, biological, ship, or destroy the planet. And the same here on this side. There is an emergency shutoff, though. If the reactor somehow got out of control, they're able to do a forced shutdown of it right here. And then this is all controlled just from this little console right here, just by the armored officer right here. Okay, so let's just head outside. The other thing to note about this ship is all the cannons here that are on this side, they can articulate left and right, as well as go up and fire at ships on the other side. So this ship doesn't have to be deployed, so that only this side can attack ships on this side, or this side can attack ships on this side. A full broadside is not required. This type of ship is able to do an insane amount of damage, and really, really take out planets if it had to. So anyway, that's just some of the stuff that I've been working on. Again, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I hope that you and your families are staying safe, and I do really hope that for you. My family and I, we've all been safe and healthy throughout this whole thing, which has been great, and just hope that it stays that way. Anyway, I hope that it doesn't take another 6 months to get out another video. I do got a few things in the works that I'm hoping to show you in the coming weeks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day.